I was a solo artist before Van Halen for 10 years. And I knew how to be a solo artist. I knew who Sammy Hagar was. I joined Van Halen. 11 years later, it ends, and it was a sudden ending, you know, so it wasn't like I was all prepared to be Sammy Hagar again. And it took a little time after being in a band of 4 individuals like Van Halen, where it was very democratic. Everyone did what they wanted to do within the thing, but you got to rely on each other. You know, I was the lyricist and the melody maker, and Eddie was the riff monster, Al was the drummer, and Mikey was the bass player. So I really didn't have the whole job of being the man, you know. And so when I made Marching to Mars, the first record after that, it was completely rebellion against Van Halen. It was like, I'm just going to write songs that I couldn't do in Van Halen. It was the frustration of my blues roots and my R&B side, and you know, it was just anything I couldn't do in Van Halen, I did on Marching to Mars. So that really wasn't truly me. It was a frustrated me, you know, walking around with this big monkey on my back. And put a band together, went out on tour for 138 shows on Marching to Mars, the Wabo readers, and then we went straight into the studio and recorded Red Voodoo in celebration of the new band. And oh boy, I got a band, and you know, and we're just the party monsters on the planet, you know. And then went out and did 110 more shows, and then I stopped. And before 10/13, I really reevaluated who and what I am and what I really want to do. And then I allowed everything I learned from Van Halen. I allowed everything I learned from those other records and the successes and the failure to make this record. And it really is the rebirth of Sammy Hagar as a solo artist again. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I want to do, and I'm doing it. And 10/13 is the epitome of who and what I am today. I'm very proud of this record. That's what the little baby's on the cover for. I'm hardly a baby, but well, in a way, it almost is a concept record. It's really true. It starts off with a song called Shaka Doobie, which I wrote October 14th, 1999 in Cabo after my birthday bash. We all know about the wild, crazy party we have down there. So I figure 2 times a year, it's legal to hurt yourself, and that's on your birthday and New Year's Eve. And if you're really close with someone else on their birthday, you can also squeeze in a couple drinks, you know, a couple extra drinks. So I wrote that song that next morning. It's really a true story. I mean, I was in bed about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, beat, you know, didn't even want to see the sun, you know. My wife keeps coming in and pulling the curtains, and the ocean's out there thinking it would invite me. I'm going, ah, it's like Dracula, you know. And so, you know, I woke up and I walked out of the bedroom, and the whole picture is like I was outside of my body seeing myself. And I wrote it, and it's really about the night after Mas Tequila, you know. So I opened the record with that. So in a way, it's the extension of Red Voodoo in a sense. And then just kind of go on a trip. And the trip is I kind of put the songs on the CD in the order they were written. And so in a way, that's a concept, because it's a stream of consciousness in a way. And I wasn't trying to write songs. I was just letting music out of me, and I just was rolling. I mean, I've never had this experience, I don't think, in my life, that I went into the studio and came and just walked in and walked out with a record. It was really quite magic. The only song from 10/13 that's held over from a previous writing is the last song, and that's why I put it last, is Tropic of Capricorn, because I wrote that for Red Voodoo, and it didn't fit on that record. And I kept rewriting it, and it's one of my favorite songs. It's really where I'm going, I think, I love songs that make you feel good. To me, that's all you can do for your fans. If there's anything I can do for them, it's either turn them on to something like Cabo or, you know, great tequila or something. That's turning them on to something. Say, well, try this, you know, and they go, wow, and then everybody's happy. The other thing you do is you make them happy, you know, and I like songs that lift you up, you know, like in Van Halen, songs that I wrote like Dreams, and just songs that just make you go, yeah, you know, give you hope and make you feel good. So that's what Tropic of Capricorn is. There's a guy named James Michael who's on the same record company with me, and he's a new songwriter guy. And my manager and Alan Kovac said, you know, why don't you try to write a song with James? He's a great songwriter. And I don't really necessarily write with people very much. I like to, but it's not it's not something that I really want to do because I like pure songs. I like to just write them myself, you know. And but James came up and he just had that verse. It's, you know, I felt you pull away a little bit more tonight, a little bit more. I recognize that face that you wore tonight a little bit more. And I'm going, wow, what a cool, because when he first told me the title a little bit more, I thought he was going to be talking about, you know, I need this and I need that. And it was such a cool twist that, you know, if you feel like you're losing someone a little bit more every day. And I liked it. See, look, it gives me goosebumps still. Singing it was just, you know, so I co-wrote it with him. I finished up the bridge and I wrote a second verse and started arranging the song. And the first time I just busted out singing it, it choked me up, man. And I just went, geez, this is a good song. And yeah, it still can choke me up on stage. It's a funny thing. I have a wonderful relationship with my wife. I don't feel like this at all, but I know this feeling. And when you sing it, you feel it. It's good. Well, juju has been a joke with me forever. And serious juju is even a funnier thing. But my drummer and I, who go back to childhood together, you know, David Lauser, we're always, you know, if someone, he's been on tour with me, you know, forever. And if someone gets sick, you know, we go, hey, you know, hey, I brought you some serious juju, you know, go and get him some chicken soup or something, you know. And we've always thought it as, you know, as juju. Say, man, we need some juju beads. You know, we get on the tour bus or something, or our airplane, and we, you know, something goes wrong with it, man. We get out the juju because it's a healer. In our opinion, juju is a music that's a healing music from Africa, and it's very, it's got a lot of, you know, little shakers and things going on. It's kind of Latino, but it's African version of it, and it's very up and festive. So, long story short, I was calling every song before I had a lyric, I was calling it juju. I'd say, what's the name of this song? We're working it up. I'd say, this is called Juju. And then next to me, well, this is Serious Juju Part 2. And then finally, when we got to about the fourth or fifth song, I was writing, I think Juju's third, oh, it's third. I'm going, well, I'm really going to name that one Juju. Because a lot of times I write the music first and then do the lyrics. Or it can go either way. But in this case, I had that music done. Song was done. I didn't know what the hell I was going to be singing about. And finally, I called it Serious Juju. And I really think that the world, it's a simple way of giving a little bit of a message without being like, here's what we got to do. If I had an answer, I'd give you an answer. But I do know that we need some, you know, ecological help, and we need some economical help, and we need to stop violence just dead out of the box. And it may take some serious juju to get all this done. I mean, I figure if you can't give a cure, at least talk about the thing lightly so that people will listen. If you start shoving it down people's throats, you know, they just turn you off. So that's a problem with being on a CD or being on television, you know, or a DVD or whatever it is they can always just turn you off. In concert, you got them. They can get up and leave, but they look really stupid doing that, you know, and everybody starts going, hey, where you going, man, you know. So, but on the box, they can just loving what I do. You know, if I walk out, I'm an insecure person. I grew up very insecure. The reason I think I perform the way I do is because I could never stand up in front of thousands of people and just stand there and sing and not entertain them. I mean, I'm so nervous about it, I have to just run around. And if I'm standing there unless I'm really singing my heart out to where I can't run around, geez, if I'm standing there too long, I say, I got to do something. I mean, you know, geez, these people are probably looking at me, waiting for me to do something. And it just developed to my style. And I don't know why I still do it, because I'm really not insecure that much anymore, but I still feel stupid not putting on a show. I don't know why. Every time I go out on a tour, every time I make a new CD, I go, now this tour, I'm not going to run around so much. I'm really going to concentrate on being an artist and really going to try to sing the best I can, because running around and singing doesn't work that good. And running around and playing guitar and singing is really tough. And I always say I'm going to do it, and then I never do. The second I hit the stage. At rehearsal, I'm getting my cool down, you know, my Eric Clapton vibe, you know, you just stand there and play and sing, you know. And I hit the stage and pirong, you know. I'm just really glad I'm healthy and in good shape that I can do those things. I mean, I work out and take care of my body really well, because at my age, man, it's like if you don't, you're done, man. You are done. So I don't want to walk out there weighing 300 and can't can't do it anymore. That'll probably be a good excuse to maybe stop running around on stage and just concentrate on singing when I weigh about 250. It gets harder to keep your weight down and to, you know, keep your back from hurting, you know, and from hurting yourself. But the job just gets easier. It's really cool. I swear, getting old is really cool. I would much rather be old than right now, or be, you know, getting older than I would want to be growing up in the world today. You know, the world's pretty tough on, you know, 14, 15-year-old kids, man. They're out there going, what am I going to do, you know? Is there going to be a job for me? Is there going to be a house? Is there going to be a car? Am I going to be able to support a family? Am I ever going to fall in love, really? I mean, once you're old and you've got it all and you've done it all, man, it's really cool. And I think being old is cool. So I figure I can just keep doing what I'm doing, because it does get easier as you get older. You start seeing, well, I don't have to do that, and I don't have to do that. You know, there's so many things that you spin your wheels and burn yourself out on. When I first got in this industry, when I first started making records and going on tour, I mean, I could be in the dark on stage and I'd be like running in place, you know, just, you know, you get smarter, you know, when to kick back and when to go for it. Mainly in singing. On stage, I'm up there being as real as I am. I mean, I'm totally myself up there. This is not a show. I do not rehearse what I'm going to say, and the band doesn't ever know what I'm going to do. But it's like, it's all that crazy goofiness is inside of me. It's like the high school kid that really wanted to be the coolest guy in class. Well, I'm up on stage and there I am, so I get to be the coolest guy. You know, and you take it or leave it. Some people don't understand what I do. You know, they think that my band's sloppy and that we're not very good, when the truth of the matter is, if we really rehearsed and done, I got one of the best bands in the world. But we don't like to polish the show because it's just, geez, that would be so boring. I'd rather not do it. So I like just going for it and doing that. And it's really just letting all these things out of you. Physically, it's a childhood thing. Like I said, it's high school, being the coolest dude in town. But when you're singing, the idea is to be a great singer. I don't mean like Pavarotti. I don't mean like technically a good singer. I mean to really communicate your message to the audience and who and what you are. You really got to just let it go. And some people can't do it. Some people, when they sing, they can't just let it out, you know, and you listen and they go, you know, and things like that, you know. And you just, I mean, you just really got to do it. And it's tough. It's so embarrassing. I can't tell you how embarrassing it is. Oh, no, you can't. But it's embarrassing. The more that comes out, and the new little things that come out, like in a song like A Little Bit More, new little things come out because it's a new topic and it's a new lyric. And, man, you hear them back and you go, oh, I don't know, you know. Ooh, you know, it makes you cringe. It's embarrassing. Have you ever heard you've heard your voice on a tape recorder. The first time I heard my voice on a tape recorder, I thought, oh my God, I could never do this. This is like terrible. Just hearing myself talk. So the more honest you are about it, the more it makes you cringe. Like if I do a fake voice or something, it's all real easy, you know. It's like I can do that all day long. And a lot of rock, yeah, and a lot of rock people sing with a fake voice, you know. They got that thing going on, you know what I mean? And it's like forced anger. Oh yeah, man, Elvis was the rock star of all time, man. No one's ever, today no one's bigger than Elvis, okay? You know, everyone tries to think they are and think that they're the new Elvis and this and that, but man, the Big L, he was, I mean, he was goofy towards the end, but I don't know, he fascinated me always because he was such a gentleman and such like he had such two different sides to him, you know. Like he'd say yes sir, yes ma'am and all that stuff, and then he'd get up there, man, and start, you know, shaking his thing. Well, I discovered it, you know, 18, 19 years ago, so it was extremely magical then. It was all dirt roads. There were 3 hotels that I knew of anyway, and you could walk on a beach for miles and never see a footprint except your own. You could get in your car and you could go down dirt roads anywhere you wanted, and you could just drive to a beach, and it could be just, I'm the naked man, and you know, for me this was like wonderful, you know. So you could throw a fishing pole in from the shore and catch 15, 20-pound snapper and things. I mean, that's magical. And for $8, the first time I went downtown Cabo, I had 3 people with me, and for $8, we ate lobster and drank beers and got shots of tequila and ate beans and rice and tortillas for all of us for $8. My first recollection, I'm just telling you why I love Cabo, okay? How I fell in love. I was in a restaurant in the summer. I used to go down there because there was never anybody then. And I had a place down there right away. First time I went down there, well, I went down there 3 times in 1 year, and then the next year I said, I'm buying them. You know, I just got to live here, you know. And no one knew who I was. I mean, I could scream in the streets, I'm Sammy Hagar. And it would be like, what's that guy yelling about? So it wasn't a tourist town at all then. So I was sitting in a little restaurant right across from the marina where they catch the fish. There's a fishing village. And I was trying to talk to, my wife speaks a little Spanish, and we were trying to talk to the lady about, well, what do you have? Because they don't have menus and stuff back then, just a little outside in somebody's patio. And she was trying to explain, you know, had pollo and you know, some nice tortillas that she had just made. And all of a sudden, 2 kids come walking down the street with a stick shoved through a swordfish's eyes, like, you know, like so they could carry it, like a giant swordfish, probably weighed 100 pounds, right? 2 kids, and they're carrying it with the stick like this, and they're dragging the tail. And they had big chunks taken out, and they were going from restaurant to restaurant. They just come out of the ocean. They're going from restaurant to restaurant, saying, and the lady goes, oh, you know, and we have, you know, fresh swordfish. And they went over and sliced a piece off that sucker, threw it on the grill, and I just said, man, this is me, you know. And so I had to build a little club down there because I started living down there so much, spending so much time there. So I had to build a place where I could play music because I can't be without music. And they didn't have anything with even walls, you know, it's all palapa stuff. So I built the club, and way ahead of its time. And there were times when there would be 3 people in this club that hold 600 people during the summer, when there would be no one down there. And, you know, I still believed in it and loved it. And sure enough, the town caught up, and now you can't get in the club. You stand in line, you know, all day and all night. So it's become a great business, and it became a great vision. You know, everyone thinks that I had this wonderful vision. It's all I was doing. I'm just, you know, keeping myself happy. So I built a place that I thought I could have fun with. It wasn't like a business venture, but it turned out to be a, you know, an amazing one. But Cabo Wabo is a very special place, and the town of Cabo now is the party capital of the world. And you know, it launched a tequila brand for me and everything, which was really why I went to Mexico to begin with. I've been into tequila forever, and people back in those days, no one even knew about 100% agave, a true, pure, handmade tequila. And I did, because I go down to Mexico and mess around with that stuff and go to the town of tequila and taste them. And so I knew about it. I wanted to build this club. I said, I'm going to have all these great little tequilas that no one ever had. And these guys are going to come in here and think that they know all about tequila. And I'm going to say, oh, yeah, well, let me try this one, try this one. And it was my little ego trip, and it just turned into a great, great brand of tequila. Cabo Wabo tequila's won 4 gold medals. I mean, I always tell people, look, I make the best tequila in the world, not the most. I'm not interested in making 100 million cases a year. That would be a business, and that would be work. I like this nice little brand, and I taste it before it goes into bottles, and that's all. It's not much of a job. It's such a cool place. I mean, you know, it's got, you know, when you go to a foreign country, you don't want to go to a Planet Hollywood in Mexico, I don't think, anyway. You want to go to an authentic place, but you're a little nervous, especially if you don't speak the language. And, you know, and if you don't feel comfortable, you know, Mexico's still a pretty shady place, you know. It's not the most comfortable. It really is. It looks like, you know, like shady people. You know, everyone's looking around, you know, hiding in the shadows, you know. They're kind of intimidated in Cabo by tourists, you know. They want to get some money off them, but they don't really know how to do it. So it's kind of, so anyway, is what I figured out is you build a sanctuary for people. So when they come down there, like say, they don't have to go sit in a Planet Hollywood with a bunch of other people and eat hamburgers when you're in Mexico. You want to go to an authentic place. I built an authentic place. It's built with Mexican architecture. It's everything about it is pure Mexican, but I'm an American, and so I insist that, you know, everyone speaks English and that you take care of, you know, my fans. If my fans walk in there, if I ever hear that they cheat one of my fans, that guy is fired so fast I can't tell you, you know. So, you know, we set the rules strong like that. So it's like a sanctuary. You can go there, you know, and feel comfortable and get loose and be yourself. And that, as well as being a gorgeous place, that's really the I think the success of the club has been that. You know, you walk into any other place in Cabo, it's kind of like, ooh, you know, people are like fighting in corners and broken bottles all over the place, you know. So, you know, the Cabo Wabo's clean, it's got great food, and you know, you don't get food poisoned, and no one's gonna rip you off. And I think that's pretty much been the success, as well as my fans need a place to go and hang when I'm not on tour. So they all go vacation in Cabo, and they go to the Cabo Wabo, and they meet each other. And it would blow your mind. You should interview some of the fans about, you know, say, oh yeah, you know, I met so-and-so from Detroit, and we come down here every year, you know, and we meet now, our families, and we stay at the same hotel, and, you know, and it's just like these people are making friends, and some fans, when they travel, they stay in towns with other fans, invite them to their house that they met in Cabo, and they stay with them so that they don't have to get a hotel room, you know. It's amazing. It's real. It's synergy to the bone. Well, what other venues? I only play at the Cabo Wabo now. I built my stage to be the Cabo Wabo, and so it's the same. My fans are the same all over the world. That's why I like to put on these jerseys from other towns, because you know the people are booing the jersey. They're not booing the people that came with them. I mean, it's something I didn't get into at the show. I should have went into my whole stick about it, saying, yeah, but wait a minute, these people are all right just because they're from Detroit. But yeah, they're redheads. Yeah, they're great. Get that jersey off, though, you know. And that's what it is. I play for the same fans. They're everywhere. They're the same people. Redheads are the same worldwide. And the Cabo Wabo is really my favorite place to play, yes, because it's the cream of the crop. I get the biggest fans from St. Louis, the biggest fans from Japan. You know, only the hardest core people are going to get in there, because when I play there, they have to camp. I mean, I have no choice. It only holds 650 people. We squeeze 1,000 in there, but I mean, there's probably 5,000 trying to get in every night, and so it is my favorite place because I don't even have to sing. They know every lyric to songs that I've forgotten. And that's a beautiful thing. But by building the stage that I travel with, the Cabo Wabo is with me at all times. So I feel comfortable. I wouldn't play any other venue. I tell my agent, tell my manager, don't bother. I don't care. You know, it's, oh, but they offered us. I'm going. You know, I can't not play with this stage. So I can't be an opening act for anyone. I'm in a position where I have to do my show, and I can't have an opening act unless they want to play in my club, because there's no room on stage, and most bands won't. You know, I've offered some people that I thought would be fun on stage, fun for my fans, and they won't play inside my club. You know, they feel like it's like they're promoting my trip. I'm going, no, you don't understand. So anyway, so I'm kind of stuck with where I am in my career because I can't build it except through fans. I refuse to make any record that would be a current hit today because I don't like the current hits today, and so therefore I just have to, you know, I like rock music, and so I'm not going to cop out and do something stupid, you know, like get in bed with some rapper or something, you know, have him rap on my record so I can have a hit, you know. So I refuse to do it that way. I refuse to be an opening act for anyone because I have to play in the Cabo Wabo. No one's going to let this stage out in front of them. I could see somebody going on stage after me, right? It's like, no, even Zeppelin would probably be going, you know, Sammy, maybe you should go ahead and close the show with this crazy party. And I can't have an opening act, so I'm just as big as I am, and that's it. And I'm fine with that. Because it's never been in, so therefore it can't go out, you know? It's like, these poor people that come into the fashion plate of the year, you know, like, you know, Backstreet Boys and Ricky Martin and people like that. I mean, I don't feel sorry for those people. It's wonderful, you know, for having a great career like that. But they're so fashionable. What's going to happen when that goes out? Just like when you know, when disco, you know, there was Donna Summer, the greatest star of the disco era. And then when disco's out, Donna probably can't even play a club. I mean, she can't sell a record, probably can't get a record deal. You know, the Bee Gees, all, you know, just, they're great. I mean, the Bee Gees are probably one of the great vocal groups of all time. And they're, you know, not that, they're doing okay because they're legendary. There's always maybe one that can carry, like Elvis. You know, when 50s went out, Elvis was still there though. So I would hope to be something like that, I guess, but I don't know. I don't even think I fit into that category. I'm an individual. If you like this, this is the only place you can get it. It doesn't fit in really anywhere, and so therefore you're okay during every time, because it's not like you're in or out. Go, oh, well, Sammy, man, he's like an 80s dude, or he's a 70s. I was a 70s dude. I was an 80s dude. I was a 60s dude, you know, and I'm a 90s dude, and I'm a 2000 dude. It just, if you're yourself, pure, then you can't fit into anything. If you're a fashion plate, if you're part of a movement, then you're kind of stuck with that. And so I like cruising, just coasting, staying out of the mix, you know. Oh, it's important, man. I gotta tell you, I'd love to say that I'm not affected by a bad review. It angers me. I'm telling you, I've wanted to kick people's ass so many times. I've even threatened some of them. I mean, I have. I've called them up and said, if I ever see you, I will punch your face in. It's so weird, man. It's like some people hate me. You know what I mean? It's not like they just write me off or they just say, you know, Sammy Hagar, he's okay, you know. But there's people that go after me. I mean, they go through the trouble of writing a big, long review about how horrible I am. And I don't get it. I mean, I am not horrible, okay? I don't like to be rehearsed. I'm a little sloppy, and sometimes I'm a little rude and on stage, and or a little, you know, I use a lot of bad language, you know, and so forth. But, you know, that's just, I do that at home too, you know. And man, some people, they go after me, and it bothers me because it's unfair. You know, I feel like critics are snipers. They hide in the bushes. You never see them. They sit out there at the concert and act like they're part of the deal, and then they snipe you, you know. And I don't like that. I really don't. It pisses me off. I'll tell you, they get to me. My ultimate comeback was when I first joined Van Halen. I got ripped apart. It was just, that was all there was to it, you know. And even today, after selling 42 million records with those guys, after every album going to #1, you know, the most successful band in the world during my reign, right, as Van Hagar, the critics still like to throw little David Lee Roth stabs at me. And it's just the craziest thing. So the first tour we did, we played my hometown, San Francisco. We sold out 4 nights at the Cal Palace. And this guy named Joel Sullivan, I've lived there my whole life. I know this guy. You know, he's been to my house. He's done interviews with me, just like we're doing right here. And he comes to the first night out of the 4 shows. He rips me to shreds, calls me Peter Pan, and saying, you know, I'm never going to grow up, and, you know, and then. So I have his home phone number. I know where he lives, his address and everything. I call him up anytime. You know, I know the guy. So I read the review. I get on stage the next night. In the middle of the show, I tell everybody, okay, get your lipstick out, get your eyeliner, whatever you got that'll write. You know, cut yourself, use blood. Here's Joel Sullivan's phone number. And I gave it to 15,000 people. And he actually had to change his phone. He had to move. He had to, his job, they had to change the number at the San Francisco Chronicle. These people went after him, and the word got out, and everybody started getting really into it, you know. And because I read the review right on stage, right? And this is my hometown, man. You know, these are my fans. So it glorified him, and now he praises me for it. He said, you know, you made me so big. He became the chief editor of the paper within a few years because Joel Sullivan I just glorified him. So it was a double-edged sword. At first, I made his life miserable. I actually called his phone number to see, because somebody called me up and said, hey, call Joel Sullivan's phone, his old phone number, and check it out. So somebody else had his phone number, and the guy's message said, because he changed his number, and somebody else got that number, and like months later, people were still hassling him. Guys going, if this message is for Joel Selvin, his new number is, and the guy goes, please don't leave any rude messages on my machine. Thank you very much. And it was great. Actually was ongoing. So that was the only time I really got back at a critic. No, you know, I just did an interview with the new Joel Selvin from the San Francisco Chronicle, and he says, I said, hey man, if you're coming to the show, just remember what I did to Joel. He goes, oh no, I wish you would do that to me. Look what happened to Joel. He's written 3 books since then. And he's, you know, so I don't know if I did the right thing or not. I think my biggest contribution to Van Halen was that because I'm a musician, I'm a singer and a songwriter and a guitar player myself, more of a musician than a rock star, you might say, that when Eddie and I got together, he finally had a musical partner, because, you know, Dave was just not musical. I mean, he was a great celebrity and great front man, and they did great things, but he wasn't a musician. And so, and his voice is kind of low and kind of limited. So Eddie got to blossom as a musician with me because I could go with him. And we co-wrote, you know, Eddie and I wrote every song we ever did. You know, it says on the things that the whole band wrote the songs, but, you know, that's just the way Van Halen was always. You know, they still say everybody writes the songs, but Eddie and I co-wrote every single song. And when it was magic, for the 9 years that it was magic, it was really, really magic. And, you know, I could do anything he could think of vocally, and so he could write any kind of music he wanted, and I could sing to it. And that was the difference. And so we expanded. We got to write ballads and pop songs and keyboard songs and blues songs. I mean, if you look at that body of work, you start with, I'd say, something like Finish What You Started, which was the funkiest, down-home, almost country blues, all the way up to fused jazz, like in Pleasure Dome, and as hard a rock as you can in between, and a ballad like Not Enough or Love Walks In. And I mean, you know, it's Dreams, you know, there's quite a array of music there. No, no, because I'm still remembering the bad taste from the last year in that band was miserable. Something happened. I don't know what happened. I wish I could sit here and tell you. I have ideas of what happened. Bad management can kill anything. And when our manager, Ed Loeffler, died, that was the end of that band. And we stuck it out for another year or so. But with Alex's brother-in-law, you know, in there, it was a disaster. The guy would sell you for 50 cents, man. And, you know, the biggest band in the world, you know, it was like, just sold it right down the river, didn't it? You know what I mean? I mean, it's really pretty ugly what happened. And the thought of going back and trying to pick up the pieces, you know, at this stage in my career, I'm just too happy, having too much fun. I can't play without the Cabo Wabo stage. You know, I mean, they could join my band, I guess, maybe, or something, but it's not like an ego trip. It's, you know, I've got my thing going now. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I'm doing. And I'm past that. I'd love to play with them at the Cabo Wabo, come down and just do a reunion, but I've tried to get Montrose to do that for 11 years since the club's been open, and Ronnie won't do it, so I can't imagine Eddie wanting to do it either. Michael Anthony and I talk a little bit, but it's hard for him because if he ever told me anything and I repeated it, like now, like if I had some dirt on him, you know, he'd really get in trouble. You know, those guys can, Ed and Al are very close, you know, brothers. That's the beautiful thing about the band. It's really what made the band be able to carry itself through a lot of generations, you know, with Dave and with me, is that Ed and Al are inseparable, and that's always a good thing. You know? And but they're brutal to Mike if he blows, if he does anything wrong. I mean, they're tough on him. They couldn't be that way with me because I'm just an individual. You know, I'd get up and say, well, let's fight then and get this over with or something, you know. But Mikey just takes it, and it's not. It's unfair to him. So I even try not to talk to him too much because what am I going to say? You know, hey, how's it going? What are you guys doing? You ever going to come out with a new record? And he'd be go, well, you know. So I don't really stay in contact with him that much. It was all good. The good part of it was all good. I got to say, Probably the memory that'll never, ever go away is the first day I walked in there when they asked me to come down and try out for the band. And I wasn't interested, but I was such a fan of Eddie's guitar playing that I said, oh, I'll go down and jam with him, see what the hell's going on. Maybe he'll play on my record, you know. And I was in the middle of writing for my next CD after the VOA record. And when I walked in, those guys were so, you know, Roth put an image on that band that wasn't real. You know, he put a spin on that band that just wasn't real. He was a publicity hound. He was a showman. He was a complete manipulator to the press, and he really invented what they were back then, you know, that thing. Alex, Eddie, and Mike were nothing like that, but I assumed they were. So I'm going, I'm not going to join that band. I'm, you know, want to go out there and be a clown, you know? So, I mean, I'm a clown, but a different kind, you know? And so I went down, and when I walked in the room, I couldn't believe it. It was the dirtiest, filthiest pigsty you've ever seen in Eddie's studio. There were more cigarette butts and beer cans and bottles and whiskey bottles, and just, it was such a dump. And I'm going, whoa, man, what have these guys been doing? And it's what had happened when Roth quit. Eddie and Alex and Michael had been living in there like for weeks, you know, or months. And they were so excited about me coming. They stayed up all night and they rehearsed a couple songs. And they were so humble. They were so cool. And I'll never forget that moment of, to me, going, wow, erase everything I ever thought about Van Halen, you know. And we started playing music, and about 10 hours later, we walked out of there. I'm going, wow, this is special. And it's a great feeling. There we go again. Here come the goosebumps again. Truly special moment. We wrote Summer Nights. We wrote Good Enough. Eddie got on a plane with me and came back to my house. I mean, him and I just hooked up, you know, right? So I'm saying, well, I got to go back home. I didn't plan on coming down here and staying and doing a record. Plus, I had other record deal. They were on another label. It was a mess, you know, legally, right? I had a manager. They didn't have a manager. So Eddie said, well, I said, come on to my house. He comes to my house. We write all these songs in the first record. Get Up. We write Love Walks In. And we wrote 2 other songs that didn't make the record. I mean, it was just, him and I just went, bam, 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 bam. And it was just, it was a magical, magical thing. That's what I remember more than anything. The Cabo Wabo, quite honestly. I was driving down the street in Cabo during the OU 812 record with Van Halen. We had just started it, and I had about 4 songs. We had about 4 songs of music. I needed to get my lyrics together. So I took the tapes down there at Cabo, and one Sunday morning, I was driving down the street, and I saw a guy staggering. He was wobbling across the road, running into barbed wire, and just ripping himself to pieces. He just kept bashing, you know, a local dude, you know, had been up all night, you know, drinking. And I go, man, look at this guy's doing the Cabo Wabo. The light went on. I wrote the song. I called Eddie on the phone. I said, Eddie, listen to this. And I said, just think of the song Make It Last, which was a song I'd written in Montrose. I'm going, da-da-da, you know, been around, down, Dallas, Texas. So I sang the whole thing to him. He goes, oh, man, I got it, Alan. I've been working on this thing. It was just magic, right? Write the song. I build the club. I make it a tequila bar. I find a brand of tequila that, you know, I mean, a little factory that's willing to make tequila for me the way I want. And all that one little vision led to all that. And quite honestly, the tequila thing is big. It's real. It's really, it's unbelievable, the success of that and the club and all that. And I'm more proud of that one thought than all the work and all the CDs and the 67 million records or whatever I've sold in my career. I don't know. I'm very proud of that, but Cabo Wabo was really special. I mean, that's the Mecca, man. That's where, you know, it's all there. That's really a tough one. I don't think there is such a thing. I mean, maybe, I don't know, man. You know, I mean, I'm a Libra, so I've always got, you know, one of these and one of these and one of these and one of these. I can't make choices like that. It's impossible. But I think Eagles Fly acoustically has had some of the magical moments for me ever, when the whole audience starts singing and just goosebumps from head to toe, okay? So that's really special. But playing a song like Heavy Metal has had some of the highest rock moments of all time. But right now in my career, like last night on stage and tonight on stage, I guarantee it, Let Sally Drive is just the rockinest thing I've ever played in my life. Something about that song. I mean, when I wrote it and we did it in the studio, I loved it. But when we play it live, it's like I'm going, whoa, this is really rock and roll. It's as heavy and it's as rockin' as I can possibly do at my age today. Let Sally Drive is the rockinest thing I got going for me. Well, it started with when I built the Cabo Wabo bar. In the Cabo Wabo, if I yell waitress, man, it'd take her an hour to get through the crowd to get to me. So I bring when we come walking out on stage at the Cabo Wabo, I bring a couple pitchers of margaritas, a couple bottles of tequila, you know, a 6-pack of beer, a bunch of water. I mean, I give it away. I can't drink all that. You know, I'm a 3-drink guy, and that's it for me. You know, 3 drinks and I'm high. I like to be high. I don't like to be drunk. But so I said, when I built the Cabo Wabo stage, I'm going, you know, if you're in the Cabo Wabo, we need some waitresses serving people. So we used to just get people out of the audience. I'd see a couple chicks, and I'd say, hey, we need a waitress. Come on up here. And then, you know, that one thing led to another, and some of them were really bad, you know. And then sometimes the promoters would say, you know, hey, I'll get you a couple waitresses from down at Hooters or something, you know. So then we started getting more professional about it. And I found that, you know, the really professional waitresses were better. Then I found that a lot of, you know, then some waitresses came from strip clubs, and they started getting really funky out there. And some of my female fans were getting uptight about it, and all the guys are going, yeah, you know. So I'm trying to divide that up still. I'm still working on that waitress thing, you know, like my wife wants to kill me half the time, you know, because we don't have a consistent thing. So that's why we're looking for Miss Cabo Wabo. And I think we're going to end up getting a couple great waitresses and probably just put them on payroll and take them with us, because, and hopefully maybe they can do background singing or something, or maybe they can do laundry, you know, and maybe they can wash my stage clothes out for me. But it's like, it's really important to have the waitresses, but I really take a chance every night between either getting in a fight with my wife or them doing something that's, you know, that some of the girl fans get a little upset about, you know, because I'm not a chauvinist at all. I love women, man. I think they're the coolest. They're much cooler race than men, you know. I mean, women are totally cooler than men. I'd rather be around all women all the time, you know. Just a couple of my buddies I could, you know, handle, but it's the waitress side of things. I enjoy them when they come out and get goofy, but and the guy fans do, but, you know, I don't want to hurt my girl population. I like girls too much. So we're trying to keep it under control, but it's tough to control people. You know, you walk out there in a flossed bathing suit, you know, gorgeous chick, right? And in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people, the girls themselves get pretty excited. You know, they're going, hey, this is cool, you know? And so it brings things out of people that they normally don't do. No, it's not too much. It's not out of hand. I am truly humbled by it every single night. I said it on stage last night, and I mean it. It's like, it humbles me. I don't feel like a rock star, you know. When I go home and, you know, my wife and I, we don't have nannies and stuff. You know, we have a babysitter that comes 2 days a week to give us a break. We'll give her a break. But, you know, I don't have maids, you know, that live in my house, and I don't have cooks, you know. We do everything ourselves, and I like to keep myself like that, you know. And it humbles me because I don't feel like a rock star at all. I know I must have something special because I can write songs. See, that's the gift to me, is the fact that I can write music and I come up with lyrics and melodies and all these things that make this wonderful song. Okay, that's special. That's a gift. But anything else, you know, I've never thought of myself as being, you know, some great-looking guy. I don't look at myself as being like some sex symbol. You know, I love sex, don't get me wrong. But I don't feel like a sex symbol, you know, like Elvis was or something. I mean, you know, So I don't get all that stuff, and I'm humbled by it, but I love the hell out of it. I mean, you know, there's nothing, like I say, that's when I become the teenage, I'm the dude, man. I got every chick in town. I got the finest car, and I'm the head of the football team, and I'm this, and I'm that. When I'm on stage, I get to be all those things that I never was growing up. You know, I was always a cool guy. You know, got along good with people, always had lots of girlfriends and stuff, but, you know, I was never the guy, you know, the coolest guy in town. And I am now when I'm on stage. I don't know. Hey, like my manager would tell you, my agent will tell you, record companies would tell you, if we knew the formula that worked in St. Louis, we'd do it everywhere. But why it happened in St. Louis, I don't know. It actually, the first place it ever happened was San Antonio, Texas, was the first place I ever headlined. I used to sell 5,000 seats there when I was opening act. I couldn't sell 500 seats anywhere else. Just one of them things that happens. It's a phenomenon, you know. St. Louis is, I mean, all my fans are the same now. They're the same as they are in St. Louis. They're just more of them in St. Louis. For some reason, St. Louis picked up on what I do instantly. Like in '77, boom, they say, hey, Sammy Hagar, you know, we like what he does. And I haven't changed, or I don't patronize them. I don't do anything different for them than I do for other people. Quite honestly, the first few times I went to St. Louis and opened for Ted Nugent. I went to St. Louis to open for Boston. And I opened for other people. But those are the two really big shows I remember doing. And both times, I couldn't sing a lick. I had a sore throat so bad, and I couldn't sing. I think I did two of my worst shows. And the next time I came, I sold out the place. You know, the biggest arena by myself. I went from an opening act doing two bad shows to where they tore the damn barricades down, and I couldn't even sing right. So it just, I don't know, you know, moon was in the right place or something, all the stars lined up, and bang, you know. But it's really like that everywhere now. Just like I say, like, you know, in Chicago, I'll do like 11,000. In St. Louis, I'll do 20,000. But there's the same people. You could interchange them. You wouldn't know which town I was in. If you know, came tomorrow night or next, I'm in Davenport, Iowa or something. If you came to that show, there'd be about 3,000 people maybe, but you could totally interchange them. You'd say, geez, that's exactly like what happened the other night, you know. So everybody gets it now. My fans do anyway. Not everybody gets it. My fans get it. The redheads, they know what's going on. Yeah. That's the only bad side of the fanaticism, you know. I love the fanaticism, but I've had a couple people that think that they were married to me in past lives and stuff like this, and that we have children and stuff, and they know who they are around the planet. And see, I'm such a sucker. I believe in all that stuff. You know, I'm a big mysticism is just for me. If you want to reel me in, man, you can get me this way, right? Come up with some fantastic story that makes sense, and I'll believe it, you know. And so there's been a couple girls that have kind of almost stalked me like that, you know, and the police had to get rid of them and stuff because they wouldn't leave, you know, my property. And I mean, seriously, camping. And I'm a nice guy for a long time and say, okay, you just stay outside the gate here. You're okay, man. But just don't hassle anyone. Then it just gets too weird. That's happened just a couple times. And I've gotten some pretty wicked letters in the mail. But, you know, when they actually know where you live and they come and start, you know, living on your roof and stuff, you know, it's a little weird. I got no problems with it, man. If you think, if I look miserable and unhappy from this business, then you'd have to be blind to think that. I think it's great. I think it's, you know, a lot of temptation. There's a lot of things you can do wrong in this business. You can, you know, a lot of people have died and overdosed and you know, been married 15 or 20 times, or, you know, and made millions and got beat out of it and lost everything. I could help my children if they want to get in this business. I could help them immensely. I've seen all that. I could really, I can't help them. If my son or my daughter said, hey, I want to be an attorney or a surgeon, I said, well, I got the money to send you to school, but, you know, don't be bringing your homework to me, you know. So I think anything you can do to help your kids, anything you can do to help guide them in their lives is good. And I know what I'm doing in this business, so I'd welcome it in a second. I think it's a wonderful way to make a living. It's tough on a family sometimes, but I take my family with me, so. And if one of my kids wanted to do it, you know, my kids are financially in good shape, so they don't really have to do anything. But if they chose to do it, at least they wouldn't have to starve. because that's the only bad part of it. But it wasn't bad for me. I didn't mind it because I came from a poor family. So, you know, when I was starving, sleeping on floors with my whole band in one room, it was just as much fun as it is being in this wonderful suite right now. It was no different for me. I don't know. I think the ultimate achievement would be to be able to keep doing exactly what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I think that would be the ultimate achievement, because most people come and go, you know, and they're here today and gone tomorrow. And, you know, there's so many people that would probably love to still be on stage and still be able to go out and tour and make a living at it and make records that can't, because no one wants to hear about it. So the ultimate achievement for me and my goal is to keep my fans happy so that I can keep doing this, because this is a blast, man, you know? Yeah, I really do. I mean, I wouldn't have said that when I was 30. I thought when I was 50, I was dead, man. You know, I couldn't imagine, you know, Mick Jagger is really, truly my hero. I love the Stones to start. Mick and Keith, I think, are the coolest rock and rollers of all time, and they're pure and they're real rock and rollers. Especially Keith, he's really a real rocker, right? But Mick, I just always look at Mick Jagger and I say, you know, if he can keep doing it, well, I can keep doing it. And it's really a good inspiration, because if he wasn't there, I'd probably be the oldest guy in rock. And, you know, and people would probably say, well, when are you going to quit? You know, I mean, people say it to Mick all the time. You know, I'm sure Mick Jagger doesn't need money, you know? They do it because they dig it. And that I do it because I dig it. And I just want to be able to keep doing it. And like I said a long time ago, if it wouldn't have been for Mick, I would have said, oh, you can't do this at 50. Are you kidding, you know? So, but now I think you can. It's more like the jazz guys and the blues guys. You know, Muddy Waters and those guys, he was 80 years old, you know, or 78 whenever he died. And he was probably did a concert or a club or something the night before. And John Lee Hooker, you know, he's from the area, and he plays in this little place called the Sweetwater. And I'm going, if you want the blues, you got to go see the real blues guys. If you want rock, you got to go see real rock guys. You know, you're going to go see John Lee Hooker. He's not going to be playing Jumpin' Jack Flash, you know, or he's not going to be, you know, doing a Limp Bizkit cover, you know, trying to be fashionable. He has stayed true to the blues. Well, Sammy Hagar will stay true to rock and roll my whole life. And if you want that, then I got it. You can come and get it. And I will be there doing it. And, you know, probably when I'm 75 years old and you walk into Cabo, I'll go, whoa, there's Sammy up there. I wonder what happened to him. And I'm up there, you know, maybe not jumping around as much, but I can't see why I wouldn't want to play guitar and sing for people my whole life. Willie Nelson's another great example. Here's a guy who just goes around with his acoustic guitar, and I know Willie, and he's for real. He's the real deal. He's not up there trying to, you know, find a new pop tune that's going to get him a hit on rock radio today. He just got this acoustic guitar with holes worn in it, and when I'm over in Maui, I live by him, and there's this little joint that holds about 200 people, and, you know, all of a sudden I'll be driving by that, and I'll see a bunch of cars out there. I say, I bet you Willie's in there. I go in there, there's Willie. He's in there singing, you know, because he digs it. Well, I would certainly be flattered if I brought people some of their greatest memories of maybe having the best time they've ever had in their life, you know, at a Sammy Hagar concert, or partying to one of my CDs, or with a bottle of my tequila that, you know, made the party happen for them. And I don't just mean party, you know, I just mean like good time. Because if I can bring that and some great feelings and, you know, give people an experience that they'll remember for the rest of their lives, that's what I would like to be remembered for. You know, rather than just one song, or because, you know, I made hundreds of millions of bucks or something, or none of that, you know. But quite honestly, times change so fast. Just the fact somebody remembers me, you know, 150 years from now would be good enough for me. Somebody, oh, Sammy Hagar, yeah, I remember him, or, you know, my mother knew about him, you know, or something. That'd be good enough for me, you know. Ooh, big can of worms there, man. I think the internet has changed the industry. Napster and these kind of things, you know. I think it's thievery. I can't say Napster's are thieves. It ain't the guy. The invention's phenomenal. It's like, wow, what a great, what a great vehicle, what a great thing. But truly, a band like Metallica that spends, $1 million probably and a year of their life on a record, I'm sorry, it's just, unless they say we're going to give this to our fans, it's not for you to just take. That's like, you can't go to a car lot and just take cars because you got a key that works, So I think it's, a little bit out of hand, but it certainly is an interesting concept and a technology that's phenomenal, I don't even, I mean, my wife has a computer, but I don't even use a computer. I refuse to learn how to do it, and not because I'm lazy, but I do not have 3 or 4 hours a day in my life that I want to sit in front of a screen. I barely watch TV. I just watch boxing because I love boxing, and every now and then I'll flip through the music channels and just to see what's up, But I'm busy, man. I write songs and I got a family, and I'd rather go running up the mountain or go on a mountain bike ride or get in one of my cars and burn rubber up and down the street or something than sit and look at a computer. There's so much information there. When I need the information, I call up my wife. I call up a friend or someone, or I go to my wife and say, hey, honey, will you look this up for me? And people that don't mind doing it, but I refuse to do it. I don't have time to do it. And so it's changed. Is what's cool about it is I have a website, of course. Red Rocker is run by Paula, and it's a fan-based thing. The fans built it. The fans did the whole thing. I had nothing to do with it. But once I got hip to it and someone showed me what they were doing, I put my 2 cents in and said, look, if you just do this and make sure you don't ever do this, don't ever do this, don't ever make, the fans do things that they shouldn't do or lie to them or, blah, blah, blah. And I control it like that. But other than that, it's strictly fan-based. And the good thing about the internet is all I got to do is you just put the flag up on the internet. Hey, we're going to Cabo, or hey, the new CD's come out, and boom, everybody's there. And that's the information highway is happening on that level. But for an established band, the Napster thing really hurts you because they get my CD was on there every song 3 weeks to a month before it came out. And, the hardcore fans, the ones that are really going to buy your record, they can't wait. They got to have it. They go get it. And some of them still buy it, and a lot of them don't. And then there's a lot of people that don't care about you that have your CD, and they listen to it. You know what I mean? It's like it becomes, there's no value to it takes the value out of all the work and the effort and the the art that goes into it. So many people can just have it so it's free. It's like walking in a store and you have anything you want. Well, pretty soon you're sick of that, And it's good for a new band, though, a band that doesn't get airplay and a band that doesn't get any exposure. The Napster thing, people can at least get turned on. You get a little buzz going inside, and then they can break a band. And that's good. See, so I like that side of it because I think it's wonderful for new bands. Every band, anyone that spends the time of making a record should have some exposure, because it's work and it's what they do, and they should be gratified for it. And so I'm all for that. I'm just not for established artists like myself that get a couple 100,000 downloads, and then your CD only sells 300,000 or 400,000 records. It's crazy. Those gold records and a platinum record, they don't mean that much in the end to me, but they mean a lot to the record company, and they mean a lot to the industry. You say, oh, Sammy's a failure now. His last 2 records didn't go platinum. I've had a string of platinum records since 1980, and then all of a sudden they don't do it anymore. And it's like, I still got the same fan base. I know they're buying, I know they have the CDs. They know all the songs, so what's going on here? So it just, it doesn't bother me. Like I said, I've got enough fame and fortune for 10 people, but some people in the industry, it gives those critics that little snipers out there shot at me. It pisses me off again, too. No, my manager's pretty good with it. Him and his wonderful girlfriend. She watches out for me real good on there, and they fax me things once in a while. Say, hey, you got to read this, you got to read that, and Kristen, she's snoopy with the internet, so she keeps things from me as well. Like, if it's something that I don't want to hear, Kenny's saying, no, you don't want to hear it, So they know I'm easily roused. I'll get on the damn internet. I'll say, pretty soon you'll find me typing in things. Oh yeah, yeah. See, I don't have time for that. That's really not any. That's such a, for me, for what I do. Let me do my other thing, because if you get me hung up on the internet, my songs I'll be putting an album out 3 years from now. It takes too long. I don't have time. Yeah, well, my hair was long for about 18 years, and I was ready to cut it. And my wife gets all excited because someone had told her about, a doctor friend of ours told her about this organization called Locks of Love. And they make hair pieces, those vacuum sealed, like almost permanent hair pieces for children that have like alopecia and cancer and chemotherapy and lose their hair. So I called up Jay Leno and said, how about if I do this on the show, and my fans will follow suit? And sure enough, Jay's people are great, and they let me do it. Wasn't plugging a CD, wasn't doing anything. Got the old pruning shears out, man, and they whacked it off. It had to be 8 inches long. And so anyway, it worked, and about 9,000 of my fans did the same thing, and Locks of Love is in, they got plenty of hair, It's pretty, that's a good thing about being a celebrity. You can do something like that. It wasn't like a shameless publicity stunt. There was a reason, and you can have power and do those kind of things. Like so many great actors have charities events, where they charge $3,000 for a plate, of food that you could get for $3.99, But it's a good thing that they have friends that are willing to do that and be around the celebrities, and then the money goes to a good cause. All that stuff's cool. Now that's the cool thing about showbiz, and about being famous, is that you can do things like that, to where otherwise I would have just went into a place and got my hair cut. No, I'm really not. I'm a boxing fan. I love boxing. I was almost a boxer. My father was a fighter. Some of my best friends, Oscar De La Hoya and Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and I got a lot of fighter friends, and I hang with these guys, and it's a great sport. It's brutal, but it's a great sport. I don't necessarily watch football. A lot of my fans are athletes, a lot of ball players. I don't like hanging around with basketball players, because it's like I come to like here on them. It's a little intimidating. So I don't hang with those guys. Football players, way too big for me as well, and they like to get rough. A couple drinks, they start going, hey, let's oh man, whack you in the back and knock you across the room. Fighters are the most gentle creatures. You would be amazed at what a sweet human being Ray Mancini is. I know Ray probably wouldn't like me saying this, but Ray killed the person in the ring. Not, he didn't mean to, but in his career. And you would think anyone that could do that with his hands would be sweetest person I've ever met. I would trust him with my children, with my baby. Oscar De La Hoya, same thing. He's such a gentleman, And fighters are a different breed. They're really interesting sport to me, because it's one-on-one. Sure. I have to always be prepared in case some knucklehead comes up to me and wants a fight. I work out pretty much like a fighter. I have a gym in my house, and it's pretty much, I don't have a ring, but I have a heavy bag, and I wear gloves to do it, and I tape my wrist, because I'm overweight for my bone structure right now. If I were a fighter, I would fight welterweight, like 156, and I weigh about 170. So your bone structure is only what it is. That's why even a guy like Tommy Hearns, who was 6'1", and Mike Tyson's only 5'10", Tommy Hearns could never be a heavyweight. He just doesn't have the bone structure for it. And so when you punch a heavy bag and you know how to punch and you can put your weight really into it, if I did it with bare hand, I'd break my hand, because I know how to punch. And so that's why fighters tape their hands up and do all that stuff, because they punch so hard that they would break their hands to pieces if they just didn't have protection. It's also good for the other guy too to have the protection. But anyway, so I tape up, and I work out on a heavy bag, and more than a speed bag. I can do a speed bag, but it's frustrating,